All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another Lowport podcast. I've got not Tim Herron here. Actually, Tim is at IPSC Nationals in Phoenix right now, so we hope he's doing good. I can't find it on practice score, so I don't know if he's doing good or not. But we'll be optimistic. But instead, I've got Drew Solomon here. Drew is one of the people who kind of started around the same time as me shooting in Albuquerque. I think we actually met at a USPSA match at the city range here. That was probably 2017, 2018, I would guess.
Yeah, 2017 or 2016 even maybe. I don't
Okay,
really
awesome.
remember.
And from that point on, we've shot a lot of three gun together, local and larger matches, local USPSA matches. We've shot together a lot. So you're probably one of my oldest friends from shooting. So it's really cool that you're on the podcast. Also, you're like myself, a local match director. You've been doing it for a lot longer than I have. You run three gun matches at the Del Norte Club, the same place where I run USPSA matches. And yeah, so you're a really active guy in the local Albuquerque shooting community, and it's great to have you on. I kind of gave you a brief introduction about shooting, but go ahead, feel free to introduce yourself and maybe explain like kind of how you got into shooting, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, sure. Thanks for having me on. So I got into shooting competitively in, I don't know, 2015, 2016. I met a guy named Chris Taylor at a
Mm.
party, and somebody was like, "Oh, hey, this guy likes to shoot. You guys should chat." So Chris invited me to a USPSA match, and I went, and I didn't know people could shoot that fast. It was crazy. I think all the guys on my squad were shooting open, and I was shooting a stock like Gen One M&P. And even though I
There's
completely
nothing wrong
sucked,
with that.
yeah, even though I completely sucked, I thought it was really fun, and uh, it kind of got me hooked. I didn't really do a lot of matches that first or even second or third year, but it got me really interested in competitive shooting. So I looked around on the internet, and three guns sounded really fun to me because I had ARs, and I didn't want to just shoot a pistol. So I thought three gun would be the thing for me, and eventually I got a shotgun and went to a three gun match. The first one I went to was the one at Zia where I met. I guess you and I had already met, but we hadn't seen each other for a while. I met Ross and Joe and Jared. So a lot of the guys that we still shoot with at that first three gun match, and I got hooked and have been doing it ever since pretty regularly.
Yeah, it's for me. I got hooked so easily, and it sounds like it was the same for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I had a lot of fun at USPSA, but three gun was instantly just so fun for me.
Three gun
And
is just controlled or sometimes not controlled chaos, where there's just so much going on
yeah,
that
most of the time for me, it's uncontrolled chaos and it's
it's
insane.
it's a
And
feast for the senses. Yeah,
yeah,
for you
every
and the people watching you.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I do okay, and it makes me happy enough to keep going and not want to rage quit. But
Yeah,
most
yeah.
of the
It's
time,
so
I don't.
isn't that so nefarious? How things will be going bad for a little while, and then you have that one good match. You're like, yeah, no, maybe I'll stay in.
Yeah, maybe I don't hate myself completely.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
exactly. Well,
yeah.
that's fantastic. And along the way, somehow you got roped into doing match directing. So how did that come about?
So I was shooting three gun pretty regularly at Zia and also Del Norte, and I started to help out with the Del Norte three gun matches, like helped design stages and help with setup and everything. And one of the guys that had been doing it for a few years got put on the board of the Del Norte club, and he asked me to take his spot. So I think that was 2020 or 2019, something like that. So it's been a few years. Yeah, I've been doing it ever since, and I've got a few really good co-match directors that I work with: Mike, Matthias, Hayden Kaufman, and Artie Guzman.
Yeah.
And between the four
And
of us, we have a match pretty much every month. Although lately, with the weather,
it's
we've
been
had
hard to
more
do.
cancellations than we've had matches, so it's been a little frustrating. But usually, we have some kind of match every month.
And credit where credit's due. That crew that you've got, yourself, Mike, Hayden, Artie. Did I miss one of them? Um, you guys are usually the ones coming out helping me set up my matches too, even though I usually don't help you guys at all. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you're just the worst, aren't you?
I,
Well, you used to
according
help
to
out
some,
quite a bit
yeah,
before you moved up to Utah and
I'm,
decided to not
yeah,
do three gun anymore.
yeah, I'm not shooting your matches and not helping, or I'm not shooting the matches and I'm not helping. If I was shooting the matches and not helping, I would feel more guilty instead of only slightly guilty, like I feel right now.
Well, you're always
Yeah,
you're always welcome. We always like having you there. It's always a
thanks.
good
I
time.
need to get my shotgun back. Ross is still. He's been working on opening up the loading port on my Beretta 1301 for about 11 months. So, I think any, any day now that's going to be ready and I can start showing up to matches again.
Yeah, that'll be
But
good.
yeah, three gun really is so much fun. Uh, I got just a little bit burned out of it because it's more the reality of three gun is uh, it's more probably well, I think I've explained this on the podcast before, but the way I perceive it is like the dynamic range of enjoyment in three gun is really wide. Like it can go really bad and you can have wind on the long range stage or rain or something your shotgun just jams all the time. Something bad can happen and it can be really horrible. But when three gun goes well, it is so much fun.
Yeah,
And I think it can definitely exceed like the level of fun in USPSA. But USPSA is logistically easier. It's one gun, and so for me right now, I'm enjoying the USPSA stuff. But I do miss three gun.
yeah. Three gun is
It's
fun, but
pretty
it's easy to
nice.
get burned out on it because there are just so many like little range chores that you have to do instead of practicing. You've got to, at least for me, like I load all my pistol and rifle ammo, so I've got to do that. I've got to chrono it. I've got to group it, make sure my optic on my rifle is zeroed, make sure I know my patterns for birdshot, buckshot. Does this choke change the impact on my slug? So there's just a
It's
lot
so
of
great.
a lot of crap, and
Yeah.
and it's not just depending on the match. Sometimes like Rocky Mountain three gun, you've got to really practice your
Oof.
long range rifle. It's basically a rifle match with some shotgun and pistol. So
Yeah. Rocky
a
Mountain
lot
is
of
like
a lot of
peak.
chores.
There's a lot of chores. I used
Yeah.
to clean my guns a lot, but then I realized I could just squeeze more gun butter into them, and
Yeah.
they would keep running.
I
And
need to
so I
get some of that
stopped
because
cleaning.
I do not clean
Yeah.
my guns and it usually ends up biting me.
Brake cleaner followed by gun butter. That's all you need. Throw throw the brushes away. They're not needed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got to clean your mags. That's it, right?
that's true. Yeah. Well, if you
Yeah.
shoot a 2011, if you shoot an MMP,
Yeah.
and this is what I always tell people: like the MMP guys, for me, it was the most reliable pistol I ever owned. I would drop mags. I wouldn't drop the gun. I would drop mags all the time. In this rocky, sandy New Mexico soil that we have, and I literally never cleaned the mags on that gun, and I don't know if it's ever malfunctioned. Maybe it's had like one malfunction for me in many thousands of rounds. Whereas if a 2011 mag gets even close to the ground, I take it apart and clean it. So
Yep. Yeah. Same.
take that for what it's worth. So MMPs are legit.
Yeah.
So
They're great pistols.
they really are. Um, yeah, Rocky Mountain too. That's an absolute fantastic match. I think that was probably the first big match I ever did, and probably the same for you, right?
Yeah. I remember you and I went up and got hammered by everybody.
So
that,
Drew's
that match is
Mormon. So when
so
he
hard.
says got hammered, yeah, he means we were beaten horribly by our
Yeah.
competitors. We weren't drinking alcohol. I would never do
Yeah.
that.
I was drinking Dr. Pepper
Neither was Drew.
probably.
Yeah, you had too much.
Yeah.
Um, but no, Rocky Mountain. We've probably talked about it, certainly when Ross is on the podcast. But it's a match that's held up in Raton, New Mexico, so way northern New Mexico, almost Colorado, and it's honestly to this day for me that's like the pinnacle of a three gun major because it's in natural terrain. It's not in berms at some shooting range. you're running around in fields and mountains and dry creek beds, shooting targets that are hidden all over the place behind bushes. You're shooting long range rifle out to 600 after you've already been shooting for 150 seconds, switching between pistol and shotgun. And it's
Usually
just
running uphill.
usually running uphill. Yeah. The people who organize the match, we love them, but they're slightly evil.
Yeah.
But so am I. So I relate to them. But yeah, 3-gun or Rocky Mountain 3-gun is it's an eye-opening match, but man, it is so much fun, and it's a true shooting challenge. So
Yeah. It's
um,
got a different vibe than a lot of other 3-gun matches. It's
it
kind of its own animal.
it really does. It was run by like really old school folks for like the 2+ decades or whatever that it's existed since. I don't know what the first year of it was, but probably before 2000, right?
I don't know the
Um,
history of
I'm
it.
I'm not sure, but it's old enough that it ties back into like the people who were involved in like the old Soldier of Fortune matches and stuff like that that were the precursor to like 3-gun. And so it was very old school. They always had their own rule set and their own divisions, which were kind of similar to what most of other 3-gun matches were doing,
Yeah.
but they kept things traditional. Like heavy division there was heavy.
Yeah.
45 pistol, pump action 12 gauge, 308 rifle, no substitutions.
As God
Um,
intended.
that's got yeah, exactly. Um, and yeah, actually, until like what was it last year, the match wasn't even on practice score. You had
Right. Yeah.
to like mail a letter with a check to
Yeah.
get in.
And find a stamp
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, exactly. So that actually probably kept it a little bit less popular for a little while, but since a year or two ago, a new group, the Bouchers, who are awesome, took over running that.
Hmm.
Um, and they really keep the amazing traditional legacy that Denise and JJ, the original match directors, created. Like it's still a super challenging natural terrain 3-gun match. But now it's on practice score, so I hope more people
Yeah.
like look into that and head out because it's really an amazing match.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't remember how many times I've shot Rocky Mountain, but a number of times with JJ and Denise as the match directors. But I thought the new match directors did a great job of making it feel exactly like it has every year before. Like it has the same vibe. So,
It's great.
but it's on practice score also, so very
It
cool.
is on practice score, so you can actually go, and that's
Yeah.
usually August, right? August.
Yeah. Yeah, early to mid August, I think.
Yeah. So registration probably will open soon.
It's open already. Yeah.
But it is open. Okay,
Yeah.
so Rocky Mountain
Yeah.
3-gun practice score. You guys should check it out. Colorado folks, it's not that far. New Mexico folks, it's not that far. People come in from Texas and all over the place.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
it's freaking a lot of fun. Actually, to go back, so Chris Taylor got you into shooting. That's really funny. Chris is an awesome guy. I wish he still shot more. I think my first major pistol match was, I don't know if it was 2018 or 2019, but it was the last year that Chris ran the High Desert Classic in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a super fun match. He had all sorts of insane props. He really produced something incredible for us in Albuquerque when he was running that match. I remember there was an activator that was basically a roller coaster where you knock down a popper steel, and then there would be a target like literally vertical on a track on a cart, and it would just start swing like go like this, and it was covering basically the whole length of the berm. So you had to
Oh
shoot like
wow.
targets on this cart. It was a huge prop, and so yeah, he put on a premium match. So
Wow. I'm kind of
that
bummed I
was
never
cool.
shot that match, but yeah,
Yeah,
Chris, he's a great dude.
I
He's
shot it
so much
horribly,
fun.
but it was my first USPSA major.
Yeah.
Chris is awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that even though he only shoots like 2 majors a year now, usually I'm able to go. Even though I missed him at Superstition 3-gun this year.
Yeah.
Um, Chris is awesome.
He's always fun.
So, so let's see. why don't you give us a little bit more info about like kind of why you stuck with shooting so long? And obviously you put a lot into it as a competitor, but also the match directing is a commitment for sure. And you've done it for 3, 4, 5-ish maybe years now.
Yeah, I'm trying not to count so I don't get upset with myself. But
Yeah.
I just think it's a lot of fun. I mean, sometimes it's really frustrating when things don't go your way, when the weather's bad, that kind of stuff. But I have a really good time bringing new shooters into competitive shooting because I think it raises the bar for their level of shooting. Like, I'm not great or anything, but I think that if you shoot competitively for any amount of time, you're going to be so much better and more proficient with firearms than you would be otherwise. Um, I'm also a huge supporter of the Second Amendment, and the more people we have involved in competitive shooting, the more likely it is that they're going to be Second Amendment advocates. So that's
Yeah.
super
I've
important
noticed
to me as well.
people, once they get into competitive shooting, even if they were Second Amendment like people before, and lots of times they aren't, it just seems like something fun to do. They
Right.
become really big advocates once they get into it. So that's kind of a part of my motivation as well, is I want to ultimately make sure we're able to preserve our freedom to defend ourselves and have fun while doing it, which is really what this affords.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I think you and I are probably good enough that we could protect ourselves just fine and we don't need to practice the level that we do. But it's just a lot of fun. It's something to work on and something to keep me going throughout the week, you know? So
I can't wait to
it's a good
go
time.
pound nails into the ground and build stages for 4 hours in a car. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
wait.
not fun. But it's also a lot of fun to see people show up that you haven't met and they have a great time and then they get into it and you start seeing them every month, make new friends.
Absolutely. So
So
on that
it's a ton
note,
of fun.
yeah, for sure. On that note, we shot my USPSA match today. And one of the really cool things about that was we got a lot of new shooters. There was probably 35 shooters in the match, and we probably had 6 to
20.
8. I didn't really more than that. Yeah, there were a lot of new
It
first or
felt
maybe
like
second time shooters.
there were a ton of new shooters or people that I didn't really know. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know everybody, but just I
well, I
felt like
just
there were
think
more new people than people that I knew.
well, I just think it's great. Like
Yeah,
we really need to grow this community. For all the reasons you were just saying. And to circle back a little bit, even if you don't really care that much about competing, doing competition shooting will make you a better shooter for defensive purposes as well. And I don't care what anybody says, because you have to perform under pressure. And people will say, "Oh, targets don't shoot back," and
it's
that's
true. They
generally
don't.
true. Well, there's ricochets off some steel targets. That can
Yeah,
happen.
I get hit by those
But
all the time.
yeah, you're a magnet for ricochets. Thank you for your service, because I only got hit by a few when you're there to soak them up.
Yeah,
Um, but performing under pressure is something that most people don't really do. Even if they think they're doing it in training, they come out to a match and the targets aren't shooting back. But when that timer goes off and you've got a squad of people watching you, I guarantee you, if you're new, you'll feel a bit of nerves and you'll feel a bit of adrenaline. And so, if you're able to keep your wits about you, maintain shooting fundamentals, you'll do okay. But a lot of people, the majority of people, myself included, you usually can't do that. And it's kind of an eye opening experience. And you're like, holy cow, that completely fell apart. I don't know how I missed that many targets or forgot this or did that or fumbled my reload or for some reason my grip was different under that pressure and I was locking the slide back by the way my hand was and causing malfunction. Like the amount of stuff that emerges just by being under pressure like that, is a useful training aid, even if you are the kind of shooter who's oriented exclusively and particularly towards like defensive mindset. Like you should still come out and shoot a match. It's going to make you better. I guarantee.
yeah, absolutely. And you
And
things go wrong, and you kind of figure out like, well, why did I do this under pressure? It doesn't make sense to do this. Or
yeah,
if you're really practiced up, sometimes you can clear malfunctions and figure things out with your gun that you don't even have to think about. It's just all
yeah,
completely second nature. Most of the time, when the buzzer goes off, I'm not really even thinking about the shooting part of it. It's just executing.
Yep. Yeah, ideally that would be the case for me as well, but we're only human, or at least
Yeah,
I am.
it depends on the match, right? In the
Yeah,
big matches, I'm pretty good at choking.
yeah, choking's great. Um, and another thing for like defensive minded folks is you don't have to have a race rig to come out and shoot USPSA or IDPA. Three gun's a little different because there's some specialized stuff.
Right.
Still amazingly fun. You should go out and shoot 3 gun. But if you just care about getting training with like your concealed carry pistol, you can do that at USPSA and even IDPA. The rules, even for IDPA now, because they were holdouts for a while, but they all allow, I believe, you to have like appendix in the waistband holsters, so you can literally run your carry rig and shoot these matches, and feel out that gear, feel out your performance with it. And
Yeah.
so
As long as you
it's
have
it's
enough
not
mags, right?
yeah
You're good to go.
it's not just for gamers. And I think even on our squad just today, there were 2 people, both of which were new shooters, I think, who just showed up with their carry gear and
Yeah.
were rocking Glocks from the crotch, just blasting targets. And
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
um,
They did great too. I think one guy even was shooting a 43 or a 43X or something. So it was a baby Glock,
yep,
and he did fine. I
he did
mean,
great.
if he shot your open gun, he probably would have won because they shoot themselves. But
Yeah, probably.
that's
I
how it goes,
managed.
right?
I managed to not win today somehow, but that's what 8 mics get you. Um, yeah. Oh,
Who picked that
I,
classifier? Jeez.
some retard. Sorry, but it was me, so I can say that. Um, yeah. Yeah, nobody liked the classifier. So classifiers in USPSA are stages that the organization of USPSA defines, and usually each year they come out with a couple new classifiers, and they're measured out. So you can set up a classifier the same in Pennsylvania as you can set it up here in New Mexico. And so this library of classifiers is available to match directors. And usually there will be one classifier per USPSA local match. And since they can be set up consistently all around the country, the data from classifiers is saved by USPSA and tabulated. And they use that to rank people. So as you shoot classifiers, once you shoot 4 or 6 or something, if you're a new USPSA member, you get a classification. And your classification can be D class, C, B, A, master, or grandmaster. So there's a stratification based on how you rank on these standard stages that are consistent across. So it's kind of a cool concept to be able to get a classification like that. And then if you go to major matches, lots of times there'll be trophies for like winning B class. So you might be a newer shooter, you're B class, but you can still win a first place trophy by competing against other people at your class. And for a lot of folks, that's really exciting part of the game. And it's like an enticement to level up. You're like, oh man, I'm starting to do really good in B class. Let's see what I can do in A class. You organically classify up, and then you keep moving and moving and moving. Um, and so that's pretty great. But the issue with classifiers is that a lot of them are more of like a stand and shoot style. We're
Hmm.
practical shooters, 3 gun USPSA. We like to run around and shoot targets fast, and that's the fun of it. A lot of USPSA classifiers, it's like stand and shoot, and there will
Yeah.
be like standards exercises too. So shoot these targets, reload, and then shoot a couple different targets, strong hand only or weak hand only. So it's more of standards than a dynamic stage, and a lot of people don't like that. And I think
Yeah.
I'll admit they're not as fun. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And a lot of
But they're
times, like with the standards, it's very different than what you see in typical USPSA stages. It's not always like run and gun, although some of the newer classifiers are. So
yeah,
yeah, it's just different, and I
USPSA.
think that's why people don't like that type as much. But usually, the guys that are really good are smoking those classifiers also.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Some classifiers probably do have the high hit factor set a little bit high, so it's known that some it's going to be hard to like class up on versus others. So it's not a perfect system, but to your point, a system that tracks with match performance. So if you go look at a major match, the people who are grandmasters are usually that top set of places, stratified lower with masters than A class and so on. It usually breaks out like that with a couple of anomalies or corner cases, but it generally reflects match performance. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, but yeah, ours today had strong hand and weak hand, and
Yeah,
everybody was complaining. So sorry. There's only so many with like movement and stuff, and there's also only so many that are somewhat easy to set up. So sometimes we got to shoot a
yeah.
crappy one, and that's
I
just what it
loved
is.
setting that one up yesterday. It was
It
super
was,
easy.
yeah, nobody, none of the five of us who set up that match yesterday were complaining about setting up the classifier. It was really the shooting of it where the complaints started to emerge. So
It was worth it though.
funny that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So, you're would you say you're primarily a three gun guy then?
That's what I tend to do the most of. I enjoy all of it, really. I tend to not
Mm-hmm.
shoot as much USPSA because three gun is one of the weekends that USPSA is also happening, like at the city range. I try to
Mm-hmm.
make it to the Del Norte matches because they don't usually conflict with my schedule.
I'm glad that
But
you do
I
that.
like three
They
gun. I
usually help me
like,
set up too.
yeah, when I can, I try. We started a couple years ago doing black rifle matches at Del
Oh
Norte. So
yeah,
the guys that oh yeah,
Del
I got
Norte
it too.
Black
There
Rifle,
we go.
baby. We're
The
coordinated.
guys that
Yeah.
that uh, are the match directors for three gun. We also do black rifle. I don't know, 2 to 3 times a year, kind of just depending on what we want to do. And we started that to try to get new people uh, into competitive shooting
So what
because
is
most
Black Rifle?
black rifle is it's basically just a rifle match um, where you use an AR, an AK, a FAL, just whatever. It's a run and gun type thing. Some of the stages are more like USPSA stages, where they're really close and fast, and then some of them are more you shoot a little bit more long range. Some of them are a combination. We don't do anything super crazy. In three guns, sometimes we have smaller targets that are really hard to hit. We try to make it doable for someone that was shooting with iron sights.
Yeah,
So nothing too crazy. The maximum we'll shoot is 300 yards, and it depends on where we're shooting in the range. But
and it'll be a big target out
it'll
there.
be yeah, like a full size IPSC or at least a C zone.
Hmm.
Um, but we
So
have
like a torso, basically, for people who don't know what
exactly
that is.
yeah.
Yeah,
So we usually have a pretty good turnout with those matches because everybody has an AR and they're super
and
fun to shoot.
you don't even need a belt or like a
Right? Yeah.
competition rig for that. You need your rifle and like two or three mags, and you've got pockets, so you can just stick a mag in your back pocket. You've got your reload. You're good to go.
Exactly. And like we try to keep the stages to around 20 to 30 rounds. So a lot of times you don't even need to reload if you're shooting in a division that allows a magazine with like, like a D60 or a 40 round PMag or something. So we try to keep it pretty easy, but also pretty fun. And we get a lot of people coming out, and we've had a lot of people show up for those that end up shooting USPSA or they shoot three gun.
Yeah, the
So
turnout is usually amazing for the black rifle matches. Like
yeah,
for
we do.
so to give a flavor, like USPSA matches in Albuquerque, 25 people if it's a bad weekend, maybe in the winter or something like that. To
Yeah.
35, maybe 40 people is typical. Three gun, at least Del Norte three gun is probably comparable to that range. But black rifle, you're getting like 90 people or
I think
something
the
like
biggest
that,
we
right?
had was 80. We have to,
Okay.
unfortunately, we have to cap it at, I don't know, just like depends on how many helpers we have and how many people we have that can RO. But
Mm-hmm.
usually we have to cap it at 75. But sometimes it's only 50 shooters. It really just depends on how much help we have and how much time we have to organize it. So that determines how many shooters we're able to have.
And
But
you could probably do more if we had more helpers and stuff.
absolutely, yeah, for sure. I'd love to have a 10 stage match, 11 stage match, something like that, and have 100, 120 shooters. I think that would be really cool. We've
That'd be
tried
awesome.
to
Del
another
Norte could
thing,
support that too, for sure.
yeah, for sure. They've
Yeah.
got enough bays, they've got enough equipment. We just have to have enough help. Um, one of the
It's
things that
always
we've
the
done with
limiting
the
factor here. Yeah.
one one thing we've done with the Black Rifle matches is we've tried to make at least one per year a fundraiser match. Every year in New Mexico, there's a special or like a legislative session, January and February, where they try to pass all sorts of laws, all kinds of laws, but they usually try to cram a few anti-gun bills, in. And
Hmm.
we raise money to give to the NMSSA, who is a lobbying group that goes to Santa Fe to try to fight against the bills, the gun bills. It also helps raise awareness. I send out emails and tell people to get active and write their representatives. So the last one we raised, I can't remember, I think $8,000, something like that. So it
Nice.
was a pretty good deal. Gets a lot of
It's a good
people out.
outcome for a
Yeah,
Saturday, you know.
yeah, for sure. So I think we're planning on doing one this fall. We don't have a date yet for it, but hopefully we'll get it posted on Practice Score and get people signing
Yeah,
up.
that's fantastic. I love that you do that. It's really cool, and the Black Rifle matches are extremely fun. So
Yeah,
they're not, like you said, regularly scheduled, but usually a couple times a year one will pop up at
yeah. And they're
at the.
usually not super serious. Also, like it's more of a time to go out and have fun. Like we've done it a
Well,
couple times where,
you guys do themes sometimes too,
yeah,
right?
yeah. We usually
Yeah,
try to have some sort of theme. The last one was '80s movies, so
yeah.
we had a Ghostbusters stage where you are sitting in the Ghostbuster car and you get out and you put on your proton pack and you shoot all the ghost targets, and then you have to shoot
That,
through the, I don't remember what the thing was called, but you
that
shoot through
match was
this.
so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we had
yeah. You had to shoot through the, I don't know. You had like an aperture or something, and then there was
yeah,
also the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on that stage,
yeah,
which
exactly.
was like this big target, and you had to neutralize that with 6 shots instead of 2 like normal. It was so fun. And then there was one stage where it was alien themed, I think,
Uh-huh.
and people cut out no. Well, there were basically no shoot targets that were like the normal people kind of shaped silhouettes, and then people cut out into like face hugger shapes and alien shapes, like the
And the
targets you
chest
had to shoot. So
busters. Yeah.
they were really small, and they would be like headshots for the face huggers and stuff. And that was really fun to shoot too.
Yeah.
Um, it was a super cool match.
And I think at that match we also had a Red Dawn stage where you had to
Yes,
pop up through a hatch like on the movie and shoot a moving target and
Wolverines. Yeah,
throw grenades to activate targets.
yeah. I
So
did not like that I had to throw something. I do shooting sports so that I have a machine that throws the projectile object for me. When you make me throw stuff, that's bad. And I did miss the thing I had to hit, so I had to run around. I did bad.
yeah, it's all fun. We try to not take ourselves too seriously, but
Yeah.
it's a ton of fun, and it's cool to see everybody come out to do those.
And you'll even do beyond the 3 gun and the black rifle. Once in a while, you have done at least one 2 gun match, right?
Yeah, yeah. Last June we did a PCSL 2 gun match, um, and I can't remember how many people we had. We had a pretty good turnout. We had a lot of
Yeah,
people. We had really good stages. I thought it was super fun. The the wind got pretty crazy near the end and blew down one of the stages, so we had
yeah.
to
The
rebuild
win.
it. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's something that we'll probably do again in the future. Um, it's just
two gun
we've got to plan
like
it.
maybe not to the extent that black rifle brings people out, but it seems easier to get people to a 2 gun match or a black rifle match than USPSA um, or 3 gun. And I think
Yeah,
that's, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think that's largely because a lot of people do approach this from like a defensive aspect, and they want to use the guns they would practically to defend themselves. And outside of CCW, like the rifle is like that's what you fight battles with and stuff. So I think like tactically minded people really like to come out and shoot their rifle. So black rifle matches are great for that. 2 gun matches are obviously great for that. And then 2 gun matches still appeal to them because they can shoot their sidearm, the pistol.
yeah,
3 gun is always like a leap for people because everybody who hasn't shot 3 gun like tends to hate the shotgun or fear the shotgun maybe more accurately for some reason. And then of course USPSA is just pistol, so that where's the rifle? I want to shoot my rifle. Which, fair enough. But yeah, I think the more tactical nature of black rifle, or the perceived more tactical nature of black rifle and the 2-gun matches, is why it's really easy to get people to turn out for those. Which, fair enough. Like, people want to shoot what they expect they'll use. But I will say, if you're avoiding 3-gun because you're afraid of the shotgun or think shotguns are stupid, you're messing up, because the shotgun is the most fun gun to shoot, bar none. Sorry, it just is awesome. Yeah,
it's definitely. For a while, I didn't want to shoot 3-gun because of the shotgun, and finally, I just bought. I bought a Stoker. They're cheap, and I couldn't believe how much fun it was and what I was missing, because everything you shoot like falls down or explodes. It's super awesome. And
yeah.
People are scared of quad loading. I mean, it's really not that hard to load the
not that
shotgun.
hard.
The biggest thing is having a port that's cut correctly. But even so, you can dual load and be completely competitive, especially for your first couple matches. It's a ton of fun.
It's a total cop out and passing the buck misnomer, whatever you want to call it, that the person who loads the shotgun the fastest wins the 3-gun matches. That is absolutely not true. Like, you buy yourself a set of quad loaders, and they don't have to be expensive. They can be like the TACOM ones that are like injection molded. Like, it doesn't matter. Work fine. You practice for an hour. You're going to get good enough at quad loading that is not the long pole in your tent of skills for 3-gun that's holding you back. Like, there's something else you're going to be worse at that you'd be better off practicing. People just don't want to put in that effort to get good at quad loading. It's to get good enough. Like I just said, it's an hour, maybe a couple hours. It's really not that bad. If you want to freaking blaze on it, then yeah, like any other skill that you want to master, it's going to take a lot of work. But to use that as an excuse to avoid 3-gun, man, you're doing yourself a disservice. You said it perfectly, and I remember when you explained it to me like that the first time, why you like shotguns so much, and I've always remembered it. But everything you shoot like gets slapped to the ground, flies up in the air, and then you shoot it and it explodes or is otherwise destroyed. Like, the shotgun is so fun.
And when you shoot it, you feel like you're shooting a real gun too. Like,
you do,
because
open shotguns are a little different. That kind of feels like you're just shooting an AR because you just throw mags in it and it recoils more or whatever. But like for me, like the shooting TAC 3-gun, tactical optics, it's usually called, right? And then any division where you have to use a tube fed shotgun and do twin loading or quad loading, it's just it's a different manual of arms. It's a completely different thing. It's really satisfying to throw good quad loads and knock down a couple steels and shoot 3 clays out of the air all at once. And it's it's really fun. Yeah.
I mean, even Keanu learned how to quad load for one of the John Wick movies, right?
Even Keanu.
I remember him. He had the Invictus caddies and he was throwing quads in with the shotgun. He had the TTI M2, I think.
We should all strive to be more like Keanu.
Yeah, for sure.
Across many dimensions, but certainly across the quad loading dimension.
Yeah. But it seems like most of the new shooters that are coming out are running box magazine shotguns now. The VR80 has it's changed things completely.
The Rock Island VR80, for those who don't know, is a shotgun that's magazine fed. So you grab a big old banana mag. You can get one that's literally like this long, so long. Maybe. They hold 19 rounds. Shotgun, they're fat. Okay, shotgun rounds are fat, so you need a big boy to hold 19 rounds. But you can buy a VR80 for $600-700 probably. Put a red dot on it. You don't have to quad load. I think most of the time people will be better off quad loading because they don't practice reloading those big mags, and they're just messing that up too. But if you don't want to quad load, you can buy a VR80 for $600 and go shoot 3-gun.
It works most of the time.
It works most of the time. I know our buddy Joe just got one of those, the new hotness, the Genesis, featured in John Wick movies, by the way.
Yeah, the new one, right?
Which is a dope dope mag-fed shotgun. It uses an AR-10 lower, so like a 308 AR rifle style lower receiver, and then a custom upper receiver for shooting shot shells. And those seem to be the most reliable. They're lighter than BR-80s. They're much lighter than the AK style, like dissident open
Hmm.
shotguns and stuff like that. And they just seem to be the most reliable, softest shooting. So I haven't shot Joe's yet. I put the mags together for him, but he hasn't, allowed me to shoot it yet. So maybe
Yeah,
one day. But they seem really cool. And
yeah,
John
yeah,
Wick
for
killed a
sure.
lot of people with one with flaming dragon's breath ammo in the newest movie. So
Yeah, for sure. We
be more
should
like
use
John
that
Wick,
at
like we
Three
just
Gun.
said, is
That would be fun.
the dragon's breath.
Yeah, just have a
That would be
dragon's
cool.
breath
Yeah.
like pickup gun that you have to burn the targets.
I think we should do that in the dead heat of the New Mexico summer.
That would be good. Maybe
And I
have a
see no
target out in the
downsides.
grass in like the natural
Yeah,
terrain area.
I think that would be fun. Yeah. Well, very cool. Um, what else, Drew? What else is shooting done for you in your life, or anything else you want to say on that topic?
I've met a lot of great people through shooting.
Yeah,
Um, you, Ross, Caleb, Jared, Artie, Hayden, Mike, like all of my main core group of friends that I hang out with now are all people that I've met
yeah.
through shooting. And
Same,
then,
100%.
people like Joe that are, a little older, they're just super cool to talk
77.
to.
That's a lot
And
older. Yeah.
yeah,
And still
he's
running around and doing all this stuff.
for
So
sure.
that's an inspiration.
He's so awesome, so fun to talk to. I've learned so much from him. Just driving, he and I drove to Texas together and we just chatted the whole time. I've learned so much from him.
The
And
most aggressive driver I've ever ridden with.
by far,
The
yeah,
the sketchy overtakes and passes on two lanes.
yeah, exactly. He likes to
Wow.
thread that needle. But
I think
yeah,
adrenaline must keep you young because that's his secret.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, he does
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
out there all day in the heat and he doesn't complain. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel the same way. All my best friends are pretty much through shooting as well. So
yeah,
it's been an enriching thing for my life, and it's a fun way to spend a Saturday every here, every couple weekends or whatnot. And
yeah,
if you get into it a little bit, the major matches are fun too. Major match weekends are awesome. Go hang out with a little group of your friends somewhere different. Go shoot 20 stages in a new place, and usually the production of the bigger matches is more robust than a local match, so you're seeing more interesting activator targets. It's just more involved stages. You got dedicated range officers to run everybody. It's all good no matter where you want to take it in the sport. So
yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. As long as you don't beat yourself up too much. I know I
I was
do.
good at that for a couple years, but then I decided it was better to just have fun.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, it is. It's a lot more fun when you just kind of don't care and you're there to just have fun and shoot. So yeah, it's a great time. It's a really good hobby. A lot of my friends outside of shooting play golf, and they try to get me to go do it. And
it
I don't know.
sucks.
I'm
Ross tries
I'm
to
not
get
a
me to go play
golfer.
golf. Yeah,
What's that?
I've gone a few times. Ross has tried to get me to go play golf, and I've gone with him a few times. I've played a few other times on my own, and like I get the appeal, like it's outside, this and that, but
Yeah,
it's just not as fun to me. It's a little
I
boring.
I've only played a few times, and I'm awful at it. But shooting is just so much more of an adrenaline rush
Yeah,
that it's so fun. And then also like most of the time at the local matches and big matches, you're hanging around like minded people that are
yeah,
just generally super good people. Uh, Three Gun and probably USPSA as well. It's one of the only places where you can show up without the gear and everybody's trying to give you their super expensive rifle or shotgun to
mm-hmm.
use for a stage
Yeah.
or for the
Try
whole
try
match.
mine out. Try mine out.
Yeah,
Yeah, people
they'll
want to
like
help you.
fight each other to get you to try their rifle or pistol or
It's
whatever.
awesome. Yeah,
And that's another thing that if you're interested in doing three gun but you don't have the gear, you don't have the shotgun or the caddies or whatever, just shoot me an email. I have extra gear, so I'm more than willing to bring it out and let you use it.
Yeah.
And
So on Practice Score, people can, what do they search for? Del Norte 3-gun, DNGC 3-gun, or something like
exactly,
that?
yeah, I have both of those in the title of it so that it's easy to find.
Perfect.
Our Instagram page is just like Del Norte 3-gun.
Okay.
So
Ours
yeah,
is Del
we're on
Norte
there.
USPSA.
Yeah, so send me a message on there if you're interested in trying it out and you don't have the gear. I'll make sure that we have it for you at the next match.
Awesome. Well, besides your regularly scheduled matches, which are what weekend again?
Usually the first weekend of the month.
Okay.
So
Are
the
there
first
any
Saturday, rather.
the first Saturday? Are there any like special matches like Black Rifle, Night Shoot, 2-gun that are coming up that you want to plug?
We don't have anything like that set in stone that I know of. I know we are thinking about doing like a pistol night match at some point in
That would be
July
cool.
or June. And then later on this fall, we're going to do another fundraiser Black Rifle match.
Oh,
But we don't have the
beautiful.
date. We don't have the dates for that quite yet.
Yeah, I think likely you guys will do a night shoot in July because I know that I'm not going to be able to do USPSA on the second weekend of July, the second Saturday, and so I think JD, who's an excellent revolver shooter here locally, does ICOR, is going to be, I think, keen to put on a night match in July, second weekend. So keep an eye out for that.
Perfect. So yeah, I'll probably be helping with that as well if I'm available.
Sweet. Fantastic. And then just for awareness, I'll say that our New Mexico High Desert Sectional Championship is going to be hosted by Jeremy Kirschbaum, who's the match director at the Albuquerque Rio Grande Practical Shooting Club City Range. And that match opened this week for registration on Practice Score. It's going to be in October. I think it's a 2-day match actually this year. I think 12 stages on October 12th and 13th in Alamogordo, New Mexico. And I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but Alamogordo is right by White Sands, which is a really cool thing to check out if you've never seen it. And the range is super conveniently located right by, like it's literally right on the edge of Alamogordo. So getting to Alamogordo is a bit of a pain, but once you're there, getting to the range is awesome. And I think based on the facility and the fact that Jeremy is running this match and the Driscolls and the Schutzes are designing stages and putting it on, it's going to be a really good year for the New Mexico sectional. So I'd encourage anybody to sign up for that if they're interested. And it's just called 2024 High Desert NM Sectional Championship on Practice Score. So check it out. It should be a good one if you're in this kind of area.
There's another match that I want to shout out. It's if
Nope,
you're
we're
into.
done. No, just kidding.
So this is not my match, but I know the match director Gary up in Los Alamos. They're having a PCSL 2-gun match September 28th. So this is going to be the big match. I think they do one every month. This is going to be their big match. So it's September 28th, and it's called 2024 Atomic City Challenge PCSL Championship. So
Awesome.
if you're interested in 2-gun or PCSL, I'd recommend signing up. I think it's going to be fun. I'm going to sign up as long as I have the day off. So I'm
Yeah,
looking
that's
forward to it.
awesome. That should be cool. I've never done a PCSL major, but it's a really cool format.
Yeah, it
Um,
seems awesome. I would really like to do one of the PCSL majors. I just don't want to go by myself. So
mhm.
if I can get some of the guys to go with me, I'll probably be interested in going to one of them because it looks like
Well,
they just look
maybe
really
you can
well
twist my
done.
arm into it. We'll see.
Let's do it, like old days or old times.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm thinking about it. Cool. Well, that's awesome. Um, well, Drew, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. You're definitely one of the prominent figures here in the shooting scene, being the 3-gun director and being, I guess we're both kind of long timers now at this point. So, yeah, thanks again for coming on. It was great to talk with you,
Yeah,
and I'll see you at the next
absolutely.
match.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
See you, buddy.
Adios.